What's going on, everybody? Welcome. Another episode propping up on Gold Boys Network, brought to you by Pickett. I'm GriffyBets, joined here by Walla. Talk a little hockey today. We got some game ones starting tonight. We had the first batch yesterday. How you doing, Walla? How did yesterday treat you?
It was a little down for me. Just added last minute block parlay that Riley fell short on. Just That's how it goes, right? These little last second things. But otherwise it was I had a good time watching these games. It was really exciting matchups. The That second game was something. I mean, that was incredible. Pavelski, I kind of,
Hey,
I thought I said that the Stars were gonna beat the Kraken. Obviously, I was wrong. Um,
yeah.
Pavelski really tried to keep them in that one, but there's only so much one guy can do, right?
That second goal was unreal. That tip was just crazy. Yeah, scoring four goals and your team loses must be tough. Uh, yeah, I definitely read that game wrong. I had paired stars money line with under 7.5, which lost in the first period when they went down 4-2. So I thought that would be a little tighter. Maybe it'll eventually tighten up, or maybe I just read that series completely wrong to start. I sure would have loved Hints to be involved. I seem to have a curse of if I ever play a play more than one unit, it loses. I loved Riley Point and I loved Hintz Point, and together I really loved them. And I decided to do 1.25 unit. Of course, it loses. It seems to every time I so confident like that, it doesn't work out. So I need to stick to half unit and 1 unit plays, and um, yeah. So that was frustrating. 4 goals. Didn't want to share the wealth with another line.
Yeah, that was something. I was saying, uh, a couple of days ago, I mentioned Domi and just being and Pavelski on his line. That just, that's such a huge bump. So I hope some people maybe thought about that when the game was getting going and looked his way. But yeah, that was the main thing. I had to look out for what was going on with those lines, see how things kind of were going to shake out, and that they just couldn't be stopped. So it's unfortunate Hints didn't get involved. I think Heiskanen got an assist, so he's still staying involved there. But I was very, I mean, a lot of people were on his shots, and I was excited for his shots heading into the series just because we saw Colorado's defensemen put up such big numbers. But the fact that Heiskanen had 0 shots and through overtime, second overtime, that's just yeah, I'm kind of unbelievable to me. But I don't know what I'll look at next game, but I would not be surprised to, everybody's pissed at him and then he comes out shooting or something like that. But that was really upsetting.
Yeah, why don't we stay on the games last night for a little bit, because they play again tomorrow, same location. We always say, hope you have a pen and paper. Maybe we toss out a couple things from those first games and what we're looking for tomorrow. Um, I guess we could stay on the Dallas Seattle side. Um, Certainly expect Dallas to even the series. I mean, did think that a lot too with Colorado last series, and that didn't quite work out. But I do still think Dallas is the better team and wins this series. They're minus 120 to advance now. Um, I'm going to probably have to go back to Hint's Point because he's been so steady in these playoffs. I'm probably going to have to give him another chance with something.
He was shooting, that's for sure. He
His
racked up
shots
a
look
lot of
good.
shots.
I put his shots and Jamie Benn's shots in an underdog that won. Jamie
Yeah.
Benn was plus 150 for over 2.5, and he ended up with 3. Hintz ended up with 5. So those are 2 guys that I would look to go back to. Yeah, I kind of missed that Pavelski had scored a goal in every game against Seattle this year. I'd be very interested what his price is tomorrow, but mean, the guy has been on a tear for the last month plus. It's gonna be interesting to see what his price is tomorrow. If the books think surely he's gonna calm down, or this guy's a man possessed, because his price last night was pretty crazy to score.
Yeah.
Jason Robertson was disappointing. I haven't checked out how many attempts he got, but not being able to find a fourth shot when it goes to overtime is certainly disappointing. I have a feeling that screams a guy I'm going to let go tomorrow, and he's going to go over. I'm not sure I can give him another chance, but he'll still be on my radar. And I don't know. I just can't trust the Seattle side at all for props, especially. There's no player I feel confident in backing.
Yeah. Uh, I'm gonna have to dig in a bit deeper, but I know people were on Everly ahead of that game, and he did have some nice numbers against Dallas, and he certainly was involved there. So that could be a guy to keep on your radar, or if you already had him on there, that was a good call. He looked good. Of course, Schwartz came out with the scoring. Uh, so some of the names we were talking about last series. So I think you could look their way. They're stepping up. Bjorkstrand, these guys are having. I think you want to look at them and be like, oh man, can they do it again? Well, they just keep doing it. So I think those are some guys to put on your radar if you don't already have them on there.
Yeah, crazy. As for the first game, I missed most of it. Unfortunately, I got dragged somewhere that I didn't want to have to go to. Um, I caught the last minute and I watched John Tavares have just the most miraculous shots cover I've ever seen with 3 shots in the last minute. It's just so I guess maybe I was the missing piece. Having not watched him the whole game, I turn it on. He immediately just gets all these shots. It was pretty shocking, actually.
That
Um,
that was nice.
that's so I was on the over in that game. I know it went under. I'm definitely going to go back to the over tomorrow. I'm going to go back to Matthews' goal, even though he also failed me, especially with them down a game. I don't know how we don't bet Brandon Montour goal again. Uh, guy is on it.
Yep.
He's on a tear, and he's now scored in 3 straight against Toronto.
Yeah.
He opened
That
it.
was somebody we did talk about last time. So I hope people were on that, because I know, like, in the middle of the night when props were like, I was looking at the props the night before his goal. It was like plus 500 or something in the anytime goal on FanDuel, and that got, I think, bombed overnight. So hopefully there were some people out there who might have heard, just heard us talk about it and maybe caught that one. But that he's going crazy. Shooting, just stepping up big time, and yeah, he's keeps scoring against the Leafs. So, uh, and that was another third period one, right? I think he
I
scored right
think
when the third period started or something
yeah,
like that.
yeah, yeah.
Can't even imagine again on Bet 365 if you were just looking at the game log and saw he was shooting a lot again, and you just popped on over there and threw even like a buck on him to score. Probably was decent odds at that point in the game. Um, yeah, that's we said that. You see a guy who's just firing away. Uh, it's a good chance that one of them is gonna get through at some point. So gotta look that way.
Yeah, I needed that one. That definitely helped. Um, I'm trying to think. I mean, for tomorrow, so yeah, I mean, I like Tavares shots the most because of the power play chances that might have been coming. He got most of them 5-on-5, or I guess technically 6-on-5, because they had pulled their goalie at that point when he started getting some extra shots. Um, I thought Matthews down at 4 and Nylander down at 3 looked good yesterday. They both flew over that, and still at home and down a game. I would say looking back to those studs tomorrow, or maybe Bobrovsky saves, seems like a good approach again tomorrow. I don't see that series slowing down at all. Um, Verhage point, if that's still reasonable. Morgan Riley point. I feel like we're probably repeating ourselves, but I felt pretty good about my read of that game despite a couple losses. So I'm going to go back to most of the things that I thought yesterday.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. You know, in the first series, there were some guys that you could lean on and play their props. You know, most games and walk away profitable. So uh, if everything keeps staying at a all right price, I don't mind it. They should. It's not even just you know, historical matchups. Just some of these guys have kicked it up a notch end of the season anyway. So it's a lot of momentum for them. Um, yeah, I think the one that got away from me in that first game was probably Nylander shots. I saw him go off, and I was just like, yeah, it's just one of those where you're just like, "Yeah, I should have saw that coming." So definitely got to look at those guys who are shooting on the power play and in the playoffs against Florida and stuff. It's just there's been a lot of chances, and just when they get on there, you could see them uh, just blow up like Tavares did, or I think Nylander even for a bit in the game seemed like it was a slow start, and then just all of a sudden he had maybe 3 shots at the end of the second period when you thought, "Oh, man, uh, yeah, I'm gonna be really sweating this one," and then you go into the 3rd period, just, "Oh, okay, I just need that one shot. Come on, buddy." Like, such a nice feeling, and I should have been trusted him. He was good for me in round 1, so I'll look his way if the price is right.
Yeah, I think that's a good call. All right, we got two games tonight. Let's transition to those. Start with New Jersey, Carolina. What are you giggling about?
A comment saying, "Inject Hughes, Meyer, and Burns over 3.5 into my veins." That's what somebody said in the chat.
Yeah, I think that's a good seg. Maybe not Timo, but meanwhile, I think I probably forgot to share the slip beforehand. Some really nice value on the player performance parlays tonight. This game has on FanDuel Hughes and Burns to each go over 3.5 shots is plus 290. Um, and that's just let me compare here for a second. So that includes overtime is
Mhm,
plus 290, um, which is awesome because if you go to the 4 plus, if the same game parlay shots on this game, those two to get four, which is just 60 minutes, is plus 187. So grabbing it plus 290, um, plus just two guys that were rolling last round, have had big games against each other this year. That seemed like a great price. I actually played them both to get 4.5, also at plus 880. Um, Definitely, I prefer Brent Burns straight. I played him straight also. I think Carolina's in a better spot to find shots tonight. But if anyone's gonna, get some shots, I feel like it's probably Jack Hughes.
yeah, I agree there. If I had to pick one of them to play straight, Burns feels maybe a little bit safer. He's really stepped it up with shooting. There's guys missing on the Carolina's end that have been missing for a bit who could shoot. So Burns has really kicked it up a notch. I think everybody's been aware of that. He's been a lot of plus money cashes on his shots recently, and the, you know I don't think there's really much reason to think that he's gonna completely quiet down. I think he's been giving them chances, so he should stay out there, keep shooting, and against New Jersey, like you said, he has a couple big games. He's over in 2 of his last 3 against them with some, big hits in there. So I like, just like trusting him to keep that going. And I liked Hughes too. Carolina, tough target most of the time, but he's come up big against them in the past, and he looked good in those away games in round 1. So I just didn't want to pick between them. I just put half a unit on that play and just hope we see the stars just come out and shoot again.
Yeah. It's almost more impressive how well Jack Hughes did last round because the Devils ended up with 28 or fewer shots in 5 of those 7 games against the Rangers. So, I mean, Hughes getting 5 plus shots off in 4 of his last 6. Just a massive chunk of the offense comes from Hughes. Um, So he would definitely be my preferred person on New Jersey. Otherwise, I'd rather sit that one out. From a shots perspective, I think a couple guys look okay for a point. Um, I did bet. I think I alluded to this Monday before Rangers Devils. Whoever won that game, I was betting them tonight, and I am staying to my word there. Betting New Jersey to win at even money. Uh, my analysis is pretty simple. Carolina hasn't played since Friday. And I just feel like, especially how good New Jersey looked on Monday, they're just coming in with the momentum and fresh. Um, quick transition, I think, is going to benefit them. Carolina might come out a little rusty. That's how I'm reading it. So I did bet the Devils to win. I think a couple guys to get a point looks solid. Probably starting with Hughes maybe to score. He has 3 goals in 4 games against Carolina this year.
Yeah, it's seeing him at the just the 0.5 point line. It's
Mm-hmm.
always nice. You want to if you like parlaying points together. He's a lot of the time he's at 1.5, so you get you get a little leeway there. You can use him some differently than just his shots or a goal like normally. I think if you look at the history, you don't this one's not that enticing when you look at Palat against Carolina, but yeah, playoff Palat, right? He was good last season in the playoffs, racking up points, and he was a big reason why Devils advanced. So he might have some momentum there, and he's just got a lot of experience relative to some of these other guys, and he's plus money for a point. So if you think it's reminiscent of last postseason where Palat's using that kind of veteran experience to help these young guys, I think you could look that way if you like the Devils. He had what's that 5 points last series, 2 in the last game, but again, he doesn't have like anything against Carolina, so depends on how much weight you put into the history there. But definitely keep him on your radar. He's just, I'm looking at his bringing up just playoff game log since last season. He has a point in 20 of 30. So maybe he's just going to help lead the way there.
Yeah, I thought Palat's point looked solid. Hall's point also at plus money on the same line looked pretty good to me. He had 6 points last series, 4 of which were goals, and they're skating left and right of Jack Hughes, which is only going to benefit them. So if you do think the Devils find some goals, I do think there's some nice value on these guys.
Yeah. I just want to bring up, we got somebody in chat. Somebody said, "Does Timo finally get a goal tonight?" And if there's,
Probably some.
it's crazy how the expected goals that guy had and just couldn't do anything with. So it almost seems fitting that like after he gets obliterated by Truba, and then comes into a matchup against Carolina, if like everybody just kind of forgets him, it almost seems fitting that he would get his first goal. But yeah, that's definitely a risky one. It would almost seem kind of poetic if that happened. But we also got somebody asking about Shea and Jarvis and Nico shots. And yeah, I think if you like looking at the plus money angles, Brady Shea looks all right. The volume kind of tapered off at the end of the series, which is you don't like seeing that. But he had a couple games over against New Jersey, a couple down games as well. But if you go to his home chart, he had been pretty steady recently at home. So plus 135, if you don't like going up to 4 shots on Burns, this is another defenseman who has been getting some shots off for Carolina. So I could see looking at that, but his volume just bring it up, just kind of tapered off at the end of the last series, and don't like seeing that for a defenseman.
This chart looks like the
Jarvis looks all right. Yeah, that's
That's
his
for
volume.
sure. Yes, that doesn't elicit much confidence, especially from a defenseman. Getting only 4 attempts, it's going to make it really hard to get 3 shots on goal from back there.
Yeah,
Looks
and
better at 2 if you want to move him down to 2.
that's fair. You can do the alt, those alt lines.
Timo is definitely going to score. I bet him games 4 through 7 last round. Um, and obviously he didn't ever want to score for me. So I give up. So he's probably going to lead the series in goals. Maybe I
That
shouldn't.
would be so. That would just be. I don't know. That would be crazy. It's if he just got that massive hit and then just comes. It's like it just reset him back to just starts scoring, starts doing everything.
Plus 650 to lead the series in goals. Maybe I should just hedge that behind the scenes for myself to lessen the pain. Um, yeah, he's probably going to have a hat trick tonight.
I would, I would be extremely happy. I like Timo a lot. Um, it's cool watching Timo against Burns and watching Pavelski last night have a game. Uh, as all former Sharks, so I was still getting to enjoy all this. So hopefully Timo could come out and have a good series this time.
Back to Carolina defenseman. I apologize for not knowing how to pronounce this guy's name. I'm going to guess it's Brett Pesci. Uh, could be right, could be wrong there. He's got a 1.5 line. I found a little interesting, mostly because he seems to really love getting shots at home. Last couple postseasons, last round 3, 2, and 4 shots, which 5 straight home games in the playoffs, dating back to last year. And 8 of his last 10, he's got at least 2. Some nice volume against Jersey last couple meetings. 5 attempts, 6 attempts, 8 attempts. Last game, he had 4 shots on goal. I thought him at 2 looked pretty good.
Yeah, I think that's a solid look. It's not a bad price at all either for a 1.5 line. Um, minus 145, so pretty reasonable. If you if you pair that with something, it'll be nice price. Or some people don't don't mind playing that straight. That looks pretty good. He had some big games against the Islanders there.
The only other, so I mean, I do think New Jersey wins, but I'm partial hedge on some Carolina props. I mean, I think it's going to be a great series. I liked Nosen Point, which best odds for that were plus 117 on Caesar. Um, unless something has changed, he's on the top line. Yep, with Aho and Jarvis. So I just found that price really hard to resist. He had 4 points last series. Um, 2 of the 3 home games, he got a point.
Oh my gosh,
He had 3 points
that's
against Jersey in a much more limited role. So just on the top line, some nice success last round. I really like that price.
yeah, he was one of the worst, one of the bad beats for me because all of his points in the first round are power play points, which is plus 290.
Wow.
And I
So
bet him, and he got a power play point that was offsides. So that was really painful. But yeah, all of his points were power play points first round.
he's not on the top power play line, is he? That's crazy.
Yeah, I think he was.
Wow. Even better. Didn't even factor that into my
Yeah,
analysis.
look at those minutes, man. 4.6, 5.3, 3.5, 5.3. If they get on the power play, that's likely when he gets involved just because of who he's well, I guess you said he's with them on regular line anyway, right?
He's on the top line. I did not even consider the fact he's on the top power play too. That
Yeah, so I don't know if he on the top line last series. I don't even. I'm sorry. I probably sound stupid. I
based
just remember last series being like, oh wow, he's got points. And looking, I saw there were power play points, and then I looked. I was like, oh yeah, there he is, top power play unit. And then that offsides happened, and I was heartbroken. But points still plus money. If he's just on the top line and the top power play, that's yeah, it's a really good look.
great. I already bet it. Now I like it even more.
Yeah. How many was there? Do you have any power play numbers in front of you from that series, Rangers and Devils, or not?
Well, I mean, the Rangers basically in their 3 wins, they scored 5 power play goals. In their 4 losses, they scored 0. So tough to know what to glean from that. I mean, New Jersey did let up some power play goals, but they also tightened up for 4 games. Um, I can see. Let's see how they did against each other this year.
Yeah, I think the point at plus money is very solid. Just trying to see if it might be if you do like this angle, if also sprinkling on power play point could be worth it. Uh, Based on round one, it definitely seems like it.
I mean, 4 meetings, Carolina only scored 1 power play goal, but it's hard to. That's hardly everything. These things vary so frequently, and that was in January.
But anyway, makes point as you said look a lot better.
For sure. I think that's all I got from this one. Definitely expecting the volume from Brent Burns to continue. Um, I could see Aho getting a goal, Jack Hughes getting a goal. If I was gonna load up a parlay, I think it would be focused on the studs. Um, both those guys have some nice. Well, I wrote down Aho, so I assume that means he scored a couple goals against Jersey this year.
Yeah, he's got 2 in 3 games,
2 and 3,
and
and
he scored in 3 straight.
yeah.
So
So I would like him to keep it rolling. Jack Hughes, maybe I'll pair them with somebody in the second game.
uh well, also, somebody just asked about Hamilton, and so he was quiet for that series against the Rangers, until last game. I kind of, this would be a long shot, I guess, to say it minus 125 for 3 shots. It seems you want to be like, that's so awesome. He kind of calmed down for a lot of the season, the end of the season. Normally that would be like a line, you'd think and be like, oh, gotta smash that. But yeah, there's been some hesitation based on his recent form, but I think that last game could possibly be hinting at something depending on how the Devils go with their lines. Because Timo got bumped down to the third line before that game, I believe. So that I was kind of thinking maybe that led to some extra volume or something for Hamilton, who, earlier on in the season was shooting more. Timo comes to town, end of season, he was kind of shooting a little bit less. It was just interesting to see that, yeah, he kind of blew up there in that last game, and I just maybe keep an eye on that. It's minus 125 for 3 shots. If yeah, if he's gonna shoot 8, well, yeah, he had 8 attempts, some decent decent volume there. So something to consider for sure.
Also, used to be on Carolina.
This is true.
Whatever that's worth. I'm looking at his assists right now. Yeah, he was quiet last series. He had 2 assists in his last 5 games. He got an assist in 3 straight against Carolina. Um, he's plus 142 for one of those tonight. Um, yeah, I mean, I would like to go back to betting Dougie. Game 7 was encouraging.
Wow. Sorry, looking at his the against Carolina, he in the games that he's played against them, even in the ones he hit, he didn't even have he had low volume for Dougie. He's only had 5 attempts in games against Carolina. Um, and he hit his line a few times against them. But I don't like that amount of attempts from him personally, but just if last game is a hint of, maybe some more shot production from him. I like that you brought up, just little revenge there, right? Playoffs against your old team. Burns has been shooting. That's what he said in chat. Will Burns ripping the puck inspire him? So
I would still rather look to points props on Jersey personally than shot props. I really would. I really don't recommend over investing on the shot side, at least in this game. I could be completely wrong, but they met 4 times this year. Devils had 28 or fewer in 3 of them, and again they had 28 or fewer in 5 of 7 last round. Carolina's been one of the tightest shot opponents all year. I really don't see that changing here. So I really just would urge you not to overinvest on Jersey's shots. I think their goals look good. They scored 3+ and 3 of 4 against Carolina, 3+ and 3 of their last 4 last round. And yeah, I do think they win. I could just see like a 3-2 win, or maybe I don't know, 4-3, because I don't hate Carolina to score either, but I think the shots are going to be at a premium here.
Yeah. Somebody bringing up Brat has if you look at him, he's got 4 goals in his last 3 against the Devils. He's got some other points in there as well against them. Minus 128 for a point. I think he was with Plot, right? Is that? Let me look at these line combos.
That's Palat, Hughes, and
Oh, okay, Plot with Hughes. Okay. Oh, it was Tatar, right? Tatar who went off with Heischer and Brat, and he got a point. He's up on that top line there.
yeah,
Brat,
I wrote down Brad Point. I thought that looked fine,
yeah,
based on his history against Carolina.
definitely some nice angles and nice prices. That's good. Thomas Tatar point plus 160 top line.
Let's jump to the second game here in an interest of time, because I could feel this one getting away from us. The second game, because just a little high profile. Edmonton, Vegas. This feels like one that could be a lot of fun. I definitely lean the overs here. I think both sides look good for shots and goals. I'm excited for this one. That's my high level analysis to start. Definitely lean the over. Winner, I don't know. I would lean Edmonton there tonight. Personally, I just think they're the better team. But in Vegas, I thought last series would be a little tighter, and Vegas easily handled Winnipeg, although they were a little shorthanded for a stretch there. But yeah, this is going to be a fun one. I think both sides look pretty good. I wrote down just a crap ton of names on my first pass here.
Yeah, I wrote down a few names last night, and this one of the plays I went with, it's kind of similar to like when I kind of hopped on a guy who wasn't hitting in Timo. Um, the difference here, I guess, is that I'm trusting a little bit more history than I was with Timo. But so Marchessault, quiet series against Winnipeg, wasn't shooting too much. He had one big game with shots, getting 7 shots and goal in 13 attempts. Prior to that, he had a 4-game stretch with only 3 attempts. And then the last 2 games, he didn't hit a shot line, but he had 4 and 5 attempts. So just a little bit more volume towards the end of the series. But I kind of am thinking he's gonna wake up a little bit in this series. Um, he's got really great history against Edmonton, which some people maybe you don't even consider that when you're looking at these things. But for me, it's about he didn't see much attempts, and it was starting to increase at the end of that series. And against the Oilers, he has some solid volume in these past meetings, and he's hit that 2.5 line in 6 of 8 with 4+ in 5 of those. What I like is he can really hit this line on volume around 5 attempts, and that's what he ended the series with last series. A lot of these guys, we especially defensemen, when we see attempts, we're talking some of these guys 8 attempts, 9 attempts, and those are like those big volume shooters. Marchessault this season, though, if he can even just get four shot attempts or more, he has a 71% hit rate. And then 5 attempts or more, 81%. Then it goes up 84%. And then at 7 or more, if he got that much, it's 100%. So he was just really quiet last series. Um, and then just you see it kind of kicking up a little bit into this matchup where he's done a lot of damage with 5, 6 attempts. So I was a little slow to catch this one. I think it opened at -125 and it moved to like -138, -140 and stuff on books. So it's a little juicy now. DraftKings has a boost. Some of these books are giving out profit boosts right now. So if if you can use something like that, you can get them at a better price. But I'm expecting a better showing from him in this one.
Yeah, definitely. He definitely caught the eye based on that brief history you see when you go on props.cash. But even back further, he's gone for 3+ in 15 of his last 19 against Edmonton. Um, and yeah, he was quiet last series. The attempts were there, like you mentioned. Last 5 years, he's averaged 3.13 shots per game in the playoffs. I did put his flat three in an underdog play, but I am thinking I need to put his 2.5 with something, just in case he does end right at three.
I mean,
Recently, he's been ending at 4 or more against Edmonton. But yeah, I definitely like him on the Vegas side.
he's got to get it going. And if he can start shooting, his points at -110, which is 5 points in his last three meetings against Edmonton, 3 goals in his last two against them. So,
I bet him to score. I put a half unit on his goal.
you know, I I don't want to be like putting everything into the history. I just think like, coming into this series, they might try to get him going a little bit more just cuz he's been able to get some stuff done against them. So just hoping we see a little bit more out of him. Uh I'm just trusting him to get some more shots.
Yeah, like his shots. I bet his goal. I thought his point at -110 for being on the top line is crazy. All four of these games went for 7 or more goals this season. So I do kind of see it similar type games unfolding. So yeah, I definitely like him on the Vegas end. Let's see who else on Vegas. Why don't we stay there? I think you do too, William Karlsson to get a point. He had a nice strong series last round, 5 points in 5 games. He's got a point in 3 straight against Edmonton. Four of those goals last round, or 4 of those points last round were goals, and he scored in 2 of his last 3. If you want to take a stab at a +330 goal instead, but um, his point was +103 on Caesars. That app's been giving me serious issues last 2 days, so I ended up taking it on FanDuel at -104. But if you can get into Caesars seamlessly, definitely look there for points props. Their prices have been the best. But even -104, second line center on how he just produced, definitely like him tonight.
Yeah, it's got some nice history. I think no, if you want to use a boost on something else, is a little bit juiced. But Stevenson was just rolling in the last series, 2 points in 4 straight games. It's a little juiced at -150 for a point, but if you like that momentum, he was looking really good out there last series. Wish he was a little bit better priced though.
Yeah, pretty fair price, I guess, and you get 2 points in 4 straight games.
Yeah, can't can't argue too much there.
Yeah, it's a good call. It's going to be a fun series. Um, I would say I found it interesting on the Vegas shots end. We talked about March or so. Um, I did find it interesting that 2 of their home games last round, Vegas got 25 or less shots, which that's not everything. They got 30+ and 3 or 4 against Edmonton this year. Um, I just found it interesting their volume at home dipped down so much last round. So I wrote a little note to myself, so I might as well share that note with all of you. Um, if you think maybe if it tightens up a little bit, maybe don't overextend yourself on the Vegas end either for shots.
Yeah, I guess, do you have anybody else on Vegas that you were looking at or thinking
Uh,
about doing anything with?
well, yeah, so he doesn't have a line yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if it comes up at some point. Barbashev point line would be something I would love to grab if they would release it to us later. He's on Vegas's top line. He had a point in 3 of 5 last round, and he's also got a point in 3 straight against Edmonton. Uh, I sure would love a line on him. And I know they've been coming out later and later. What's his face? Nice on Toronto, the top line with Matthews and Nylander. His point got released at like 6:30 yesterday, and he scored. So I'm hoping keep my eyes peeled closer to puck drop for this one. I would like Barbashev.
Yeah, that's a good one. I hate that they don't just give us every line. Just, here are the people who are playing. Yeah, bet on them. I wish it was just like that.
Yeah, that would be nice. Uh, Flip side, I mean, I went right to Draisaitl goal. Super small brained, but sometimes that small brain is just better. Guy had 7 goals last round in 6 games. He scores in every game against Vegas this year, 5 total. And that's really about the end of my analysis. Um, Edmonton found some success on the power play against Vegas this year. That's certainly where a nice chunk of this Draisaitl scoring has come. I think his shots look great too. Down at 3 looks really safe, but I don't hate the 3.5 at plus money. But his goal at plus 105, I had to grab this morning.
Yeah, I think that looks really solid. Good, yeah, good volume in that first series, getting hit 3 shots on goal in each game. And then you look against Vegas, he has 3 shots in 6 of his last 8 against them, and he's hit that 4 shot line in 3 straight. Uh, I would be kind of interested in maybe if you don't want to do a goal for plus 100, see on FanDuel can we do like 3 plus shots in a goal again? Is that a thing?
Yeah,
Same game parlay. That I think yeah, obviously you're throwing some extra risk in there. He scores on his first shot, and then you're just sweating out shots. But he had 3 plus in each game in that first series, scoring a lot. He's got 3 plus in 6 of his last 8 against Vegas, and as Griffey said, his 5 goals in his last 4 meetings. So 3 shots in a goal seems like an okay combo if you want to.
that brings it to plus 148.
Yeah, I mean, makes it a little bit better than if you don't want just the goal, but goal's even money, so that's still solid as well. But he's been getting those shots as well, so if you like both, that could be an angle there to look at.
Definitely. Let's see. I didn't hate Draisaitl over 1.5 points either, but I'm just going to bank that one as a goal. Uh, Going right back to Evan Bouchard point, I used my DraftKings boost on him to get it to minus 116. Uh, the guy's just rolling. Uh, and he's been awesome on the power play, sort of like just that quarterback up top moving the puck. He had a power play point every single game last round, which is just that's just crazy that Edmonton scored a power play goal in every game. Um, so feel free to go to his power play point at plus 100. I'll gladly take his boosted point at minus 116 instead.
Yeah,
Um,
he had 2 points that weren't on the power play.
and yeah,
So
he had a point in 2 straight against Vegas, both at the end of the at end of March.
power play points.
Were they both power? Of course
They
they
were
were.
both power play points.
Uh,
I think it was plus 120 on Barstool for a power play point. And if it's, I mean, you're obviously adding more risk, but it's pretty much been what Draisaitl scores on the power play and Bouchard assists it. If if you want to take a stab at something dry goal, Bouchard assist it's funny how automatic it was.
I mean, the Oilers' power play is just historic at this point. It's funny. I was trying to find some sort of Vegas beat writer article this morning to see, what guys that are more intimately closer to the team are saying about the lines or who they think is going to step up. And they were talking about the Edmonton power play and how the only possible key to stopping it is not commit penalties. And I found it a funny paragraph to like, that's the one thing Vegas does well. They stay out of the box. Only the Kings were in the box less than Vegas last round. It's like, well, that clearly didn't help the Kings. Even if they weren't penalized that much, still let in power play goal every single game. I just found that funny.
It's not just try to commit less penalties. You have to commit zero.
I guess, yeah,
Commit
that would
zero
help.
penalties. You can't give them one chance because Draisaitl's just going to score a goal assisted by Evan Bouchard. It's gonna happen.
Obviously, McDavid exists. His prices are just so bad for points and power play points that I just would rather bet on the guys that are all surrounding him and benefiting from how good he is. Obviously, he's amazing. He's minus 186 for a power play point. He's minus 185 for 2 points. I'm not playing that. I'm not playing that. Go for it if you want.
I don't disagree with you there.
He was a little quiet goal scoring wise last series. Maybe he opens it back up. I found it weird he's only scored once against Vegas in his last 8 games. I'm certainly not going to fade McDavid by any means, but why would I bet that when I could just bet the hot hand in Draisaitl, who also has scored against Vegas? That's my logic. I figured someone might ask about McDavid.
Yeah, I feel the same way. It's just too much. The prices are just too much, and for him to hit most of those lines, it's gonna involve one of these other guys anyway. So, just seems to make more sense to try to find some value on some other people.
I did also do a half unit. I was trying to just find some longer odds guys a little bit. Zach Hyman goal. I put a half unit on him. I got it plus 195. He scored a goal in 2 of his last 3 games, and he had a goal in 3 of 4 against Vegas this year, and he's got 6 against them in his last 8. So that just seemed like a nice little sprinkle for me. Someone on that second line.
That's funny. He scored in 3 of 4 against Vegas and hit his shots in 1 of 4. And the game where he didn't score was the game where he hit his shots.
So weird.
Yeah, got 4 shots on goal, no goal. And then in the other games, he had 1, 2, and 2, and he had goals in those games. So seems to like scoring more than he likes shooting against Vegas.
Works for me here.
Yeah.
I mean, Ryan Nugent Hopkins I saw was back down at 0.5 point line. That's another guy. I wonder what him and Jack Hughes together would be. He's usually at 1.5, so to see him down there is, I mean, he has 9 points against Vegas in 4 games this year. And it's not even like, I mean, he had a point in 4 or 6 last round, so I found that one interesting as well. I don't know if I'll play it, but just one of those guys be like, wait, you're not usually down here. So I wouldn't hate like a Nugent Hopkins Hughes points combo, which probably comes in right around even money.
Yeah, sometimes you just gotta take advantage of the line being lower for some of these guys who are normally at that 1.5 line. But yeah, I think for the most part, those are the main things. I Petrangelo was starting to get it going again with his assists. He had 2 the last time they met Edmonton, but nothing before that. Just trying to poke around here and see who's doing what for Vegas. Theodore has 3 assists his last 2, 4 assists against Edmonton this season. So I think there's some value for you plus money people out there.
I'm trying to. That's pretty much all I got for this one. I'm taking it relatively easy on shots. Not that I think there's going to be less. I just kind of want to see how it unfolds before I put too much out. There's no one that really wows me at an amazing price. I like Marches, so like we mentioned, I would have loved him to be plus money, obviously. Maybe a nice little gift after that poor round one, but that's not happening. Draisaitl is probably my preferred look. His volume was awesome last round, hitting 3 straight against Vegas. So if we're going to go anywhere, that seems like your best value.
Yeah, I might do something with that. That 3 shots and a goal seemed right as an alright angle there. Uh, I don't see him slowing down. He was just, rolling last series, and he has some nice history there, so it looks good.
Yeah, should be fun series. Uh, yeah, unfortunately, after like a nice week of not having to go anywhere and watch all these games, I'm back on the road starting tomorrow for like 11 straight days. So hopefully I can still watch some of these games. It's going to be a whole lot of not being in my own home, um, which is frustrating sometimes. All fun stuff, but just I certainly like watching these games and not having to not watch them. So
Analysis.
yeah, that's what I'm looking
Let's
for.
recap some of the bets we're looking at today. I know you had quite a bit in.
I do. Let's see. I like Brent Burns shots a lot. Hard to pass up the volume he had last round. Um, I liked Nosen point. I only did a half unit on it. Knowing he's on the top power play makes me like it even more. Plus 117 on Caesars. Um, why don't we save that one we're on together maybe for pick it play of the day in that early game? That seems like a good candidate.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, love Draisaitl goal, love Carlson point. Those are probably my favorites. Bouchard point boosted at minus 116.
Yeah.
I've been loving that guy. I've been betting him every game this playoffs. So I'm certainly not going to stop now.
Yeah, that he's having an incredible run, and I think I might look at his power play point. I mean, plus 120. He's hit majority of his points on the power play, so that looks really good. And then for me, I'm betting on Marchessault, his shots. I used like a boost on it, just get it to a little bit better price. But I just think he'll wake up a little bit here. I understand if you're hesitant because of his round one series, but even just looking at the line movement a bit, it opened at like minus 125. It started getting a little bit more juiced. I think it's just the right time for him to get more involved. So I'm liking him. That was one of my looks that I wrote down last night. So gonna ride with him.
Like it. All right, pick it play of the day. We're both really liking the value on Jack Hughes and Brent Burns to go over 3.5 shots. And be sure, assuming your state offers it, to be using the player performance parlays, which you can find on the homepage of FanDuel, because it's plus 290 there. It includes overtime. If you wander over to the 60-minute line, it's plus 187. So definitely do not do it there. But
You
yeah, I
can
mean, just
bet 365 if you have that. Um, that it's also on there, and even there, when you same game parlay the over 3.5, it's plus 230. So still getting better price over on FanDuel with that performance parlay at plus 290. Uh, it's just nice to see because a lot of times there's better prices over on Bet 365, and I know that's not available to a lot of people. So just happy to see
yeah,
the plus 290 there.
yeah, just loading up the two studs. Hughes had 4+ and 3 of 4 against Carolina. Um, and he had 5+ in 4 of his last 6 games. And Burns has 5+ in 2 of his last 3 versus New Jersey, and he had 4+ in 5 of 6 in round one. I'm also playing them both to go over 4.5 at plus 880, a smaller wager there, but pick and play of the day, both to get 4 in game one seems more than reasonable at this price.
Yeah, I personally did half a unit on the plus 290. Just still get a great return on that one, and just Carolina can be tighter to shots. So this one's like putting a lot of, I think you're putting that trust into the Hughes momentum on the road and his history. So that's why I went down to half a unit. But those were my two favorites in that game. And that price just seems really solid.
Yep. All right. Thanks for joining. Thanks to Pickett for sponsoring. We'll be back here Monday, assuming there are games on Monday. We'll have to double check that. Good luck tonight. Good luck tomorrow. We talked about tomorrow's games at the top of the show, so feel free to go back there for some things we're likely going to be playing tomorrow. Yeah, thanks for joining.
See you guys.